It's here. It's here. What do you start with? What are you starting with? Backrooms. Bang.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Wait, I want like the menu noise to go down. How do I do that? Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Dude, you can't start from... Okay, fuck it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I
broke the glass.
broke the glass
And woke you up.
and woke you up.
I know how you like to sleep early.
I know how I like to...
I know how you like to sleep early.
I know how you like to sleep early. No. I'm fucking up. Wait, hold on.
I know how you like to sleep early.
I know how you like to... Daddy voice.
I know how you like to sleep early.
I know how you like to sleep early.
I was at the store late.
I was at the store late.
I guess I lost track of the time.
I guess I lost track of the time. I guess I lost track of the time.
I was checking inventory, but...
I was checking inventory. But... I was checking inventory. I was checking inventory. But... Oh my god. Actual voice actor.
I stopped off for a few beers.
I stopped off for a few beers.
Barbara!
Barbara! Barbara! Barbara!
Barbara!
Barbara!
I was checking inventory.
I was checking inventory.
Then I stopped off for a few beers.
And I stopped off for a few beers. No, wait, whisper it.
Then I stopped off for a few beers.
Then I stopped off for a few beers.
As many as I wanted.
As many as I wanted.
Because this is my house.
Because this is my house.
I pay for it.
I pay for it. I pay for it.
I pay for everything. I pay for you to go to school.
I pay for everything. I pay for you to go to school. Look at that voice form. It's actually almost perfect. That's crazy. Bro, I have talent, man. I've been saying I'm gonna hire you in a movie theater in 6 feet. When I'm a movie director, 6 feet under. Bro, do it when you're 6 feet above land. Because look at this shit, man.
I pay for your time off school.
I pay for your time off school.
I pay for the roof over your head.
I pay for the roof over your head.
You want kids, right?
You want kids, right?
You want kids, right?
You want kids, right?
Well, that takes money.
Well, that takes money.
So someone has to work around here.
So someone has to work around here. No, wait.
So someone has to work around here.
So someone has to work around here.
I said someone has to get off her fat ass and work around here.
I said someone has to get off her fat ass and work around here.
I am a fucking architect.
That line is so funny. I've seen so many memes.
I am a fucking architect.
I am a fucking architect. I'm a fucking architect.
I'm just stuck selling shit furniture because someone won't get off her fat fucking ass and help me.
I'm just stuck selling shit furniture because someone would get off her fat fucking ass and help me. Oh, too fast. I'm rushing. I'm just stuck selling shit furniture because someone won't get off her fat fucking ass and help me.
Stay in character.
Stay in character. Stay in character.
Stay in character. Stay in character.
Stay in character. Stay in character.
Stay in character.
Stay in character. Stay in character.
Stay in character!
Stay in character! Oh, I'm yelling too much. I'm yelling too much. Stay in character! Stay in character!
What did you say?
What did you say? What did you say?
You saying it's my fault.
You're saying it's my fault?
How do I stop doing that?
How do I stop doing that? How do I stop doing that? You know? You know?
I don't think I want to change.
I don't think I want to change. Is it a line? What the fuck?
I like it in here.
I like it in here. I like it in here. I like it in here.
For the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm.
For the first time in a long time, I feel like... For the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm...
Like I'm right where I'm supposed to be. 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 Like I'm right where I'm supposed to be.
Me when... me, me when mommy ASMR.
Where I'm supposed to be. Like I'm right where I'm supposed to be. Like I'm where I'm supposed to be.
Oh my god.
Like I'm where I'm supposed to be.
I can't say it. Like I'm right where I'm supposed to be. Like I'm right where I'm supposed to be.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Clark,
Clark.
define a few. Define a few.
Define a few.
Just because you didn't get to be an architect doesn't.
Just because you didn't get to be an architect doesn't. Just because you didn't get to be... Just because you didn't get to be an architect doesn't... Good enough.
I'm not your wife.
I'm not your wife!
I've never even met her.
I've never even met her!
Fuck you.
Fuck you! Okay, too much. Wait, I gotta... Faye has taught me the art of the fanboy girl voice.
Fuck you.
Fuck
You want to know the real reason your wife left you?
Wait, I gotta go back. How do I... I can't go back. There's some bullshit. I think some bullshit just got sent in over there. Whatever. It's fine. Your family members about to think you're a heated Discord argument. No, it's fine. They're asleep, probably. Hopefully they don't wake up.
You want to know the real reason your wife left you?
You wanna know the real reason your wife left you? Fanboy voice. You wanna know the real reason your wife left you?
It wasn't the drinking.
It wasn't the drinking.
Or the stumbling home at all hours.
Or the stumbling home at all hours. Or
the rage.
the rage. The rage. The rage. The rage.
It was the whining.
It was the whining.
Nothing's ever your fault, is it?
Nothing's ever your fault, is it?
You drink too much? Blame your job.
You drink too much? Blame your job.
You hate your job? Blame the world.
You hate your job? Blame the world.
You get kicked out of the house? Blame your wife.
You get kicked out of the house? Blame your wife. Okay. You're right, that is a bit too nerdy. Okay, let's reel it back. You get kicked out of the house? Blame your wife. You get kicked out of the house? Blame your wife.
You attack me and tie me up?
You attack me and tie me up?
Blame your brain. You are your fucking brain, you dipshit.
Blame your brain. You are your fucking brain. You a dipshit.
Yes. Yes. But it's just the way you're wired, isn't it? Isn't it?
But it's just the way you're wired, isn't it? Wait, no, wait, what I deep...
But it's just the way you're wired, isn't it?
But But it's just the way you're wired, isn't it? Isn't it? But it's just the way you're wired, isn't it? Isn't it?
Honestly, I have no fucking idea.
Honestly, I have no fucking idea.
I can't help you, Clark.
We're almost done. We're almost done, y'all. We're almost done. I can help you, Clark. I can't help you, Clark.
As much as I tried,
As much as I try,
it's just not up to me.
it's just not up to me.
I can't save anyone.
I can't save anyone.
Then don't.
Then don't.
Stay
Then stay
right where you are.
right where you are.
But let me go.
But let me go. What the fuck? This is so bullshit. It's the girl voice, bro. I can't do the girl voice. Okay, we're watching it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I broke the glass. I woke you up. I know how you like to sleep early. I was at the store late. I guess I lost track of the time. Up your volume, y'all. I was checking inventory, but I stopped off for a few beers. Clark, Barbara. I was checking inventory. Then I stopped off for a few beers. Define a few. As many as I wanted. Because this is my house. Oh, that's actually good, bro. I pay for it. I pay for everything. I pay for you to go to school. I pay for your time off school. I pay for the roof over your head. You want kids, right? Well, that takes money. So someone has to work around here. I said someone has to get off a fat ass and work around here. Just because you didn't get to be an architect doesn't... I'm a fucking architect. I'm just stuck selling shit furniture because someone won't get off a fat fucking ass and help me. I'm not your wife. Stay in character. Stay in character. I've never even met her. Stay in character. I don't have the emote. What did you say? You want to know the real reason your wife left you? Wasn't the drinking, okay, or the stumbling home at all hours, or the rage. It was the whining. Okay. Nothing's ever your fault, is it? You drink too much, blame your job. Okay. You hate your job, blame the world. Get kicked out of the house, blame your wife. You attack me and tie me up, blame your brain. You are your fucking brain, you dipshit. There goes the Batman, bro. You're saying it's my fault? Yes! But it's just the way you're wired, isn't it? Isn't it? How do I stop doing that? Honestly, I have no fucking idea. I can't help you, Clark. As much as I try, it's just not up to me. I can't save anyone. You know? I don't think I want to change. Incoming, incoming.
Then don't.
I like it in here. For the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm right where I'm supposed to be. Where did his voice come out? Then stay right where you are. But let me go. I'm sorry. Wait, you know what? Look, the girl voice, I get it. Wait, what? These got 0? That's crazy. This is good though. Wait, bro, I think it's the girl voice. No, it's not, bro. Not even the girl voice that fucked me up. Okay. Okay, the good ones were really good, I think. Look, man, I don't give a fuck. This scoring system is bullshit. That was good, bro. I think that was good. That was actually good. I'm pretty sure I saved it. I have to make sure I saved it. I have to make sure I saved it, man. Hold on. Where is it? Where is it? Player? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it saved? Saves? No. I have to make sure it's saved. Dub recordings. It's saved. It's saved. It's saved. It's saved. Right? It should be saved. I pressed the save button. It only saves an MP3? No. It's here. It's here. It's here. Recordings folder. Okay. Hold on. Yeah, give me the recordings folder. Or a WAV. No, don't open it again, man. Give me the folder. Hold on, we'll see if it's actually an MP3. That was speaking, that was fire. That was fucking fire. Hold on. Recordings folder? Oh yeah. Just a bunch of MP3 folders, bro. Look at that. Whatever, it's fine. I can just open up the game if I want to watch it. That works, that's fine. Okay, let's do something shorter now. This playtime was 10 minutes. Let's do a shorter clip. Okay, this is shorter. What's a shorter clip? Okay, this is it.
"28 stab wounds.
28 stab wounds. 28 stab wounds. 28 stab wounds.
You didn't want to leave him a chance, huh?
Didn't want to leave him a chance, huh?
Did you feel anger? Hate?
Did you feel anger? Hate?
Hate?
Oh, that's wrong.
Did you feel anger?
Did you feel anger? Hate?
He was bleeding, begging you for mercy.
He was bleeding, begging you for mercy.
But you stabbed him again and again and again.
But you stabbed him again and again and again.
I know you killed him. Why don't you say it?
I know you killed him. Why don't you say it?
Just say, I killed him. Is it that hard to say?
Just say, I killed him. Is it that hard to say?
Just say you killed him. Just say it.
Just say you killed him. Just say it. No.
Just say you.
Just say you killed him.
Just say it.
Just say you killed him. Just say it.
Please. Please.
Please. Please. Please. Please.
Please.
Please.
Please. Please stop. Please.
Please. Please stop.
Stop it.
Stop it. Bro, this software is ass. Save it first. Let's watch it. 28 stab. Okay, alright. Didn't want to leave him a chance, huh? Did you feel anger? Hate? Why'd I sound like that? He was bleeding, begging you for mercy. Why do I sound constipated? You stabbed him again and again and again. Please, please. I know you killed him. Why don't you say it? Okay, you know, no. Okay, this is ass, bro. This is some ass, man. Just say, I killed him. Is it that hard to say? Stop it. Ooh, I don't know. Just say you killed him. Just say it. Okay, you know what? Alright, bro. No, previous one was good, bro. Okay, we gotta do this now. You gotta do this. Okay, I got this.
This is the closest you're gonna get.
What?
This is the closest you're gonna get.
This is the closest he can get. Yo, what happens? No, I'm loud.
I've set things up so that criminals will continue to die over the next 3 weeks. I've set things up so that criminals will continue to die over the next 3 weeks. But El is aware by now that Kira can control the times of death of his victims. But El is aware by now that Kira can control the times of death of his victims. But El is aware by now that Kira can control the
El is aware by now that Kira can control the times of death of his victims. No, I need a bit more to it.
But El is aware by now that Kira can control the times of death of his victims. But El is aware by now that Kira can control the times of death of his victims. Therefore, to avoid suspicion, El needs to see that criminals whose names are being broadcast continue to die while I have no access to that information.
El needs to see that criminals whose names are being broadcast continue to die while I have no access to that information.
I'm gonna show you, El.
I'm gonna show you, El. I'm gonna show you, El.
With Ryuk's information and my preparations,
With Ryuk's information and my preparations,
I can continue to kill criminals whose names are broadcast on the news.
I can continue to kill criminals whose names are broadcast on the news,
while masquerading as a typical high school student studying for his entrance exams.
while masquerading as a typical high school student studying for his entrance exams.
Just watch me, El. I'll solve equations with my right hand and write names with my left.
Just watch me, El. I'll solve equations with my right hand and write names with my left.
I'll take a potato chip and eat it.
I'll
take a potato.
I'll take a potato chip and eat it.
Oh, the symptoms are starting!
Oh, the symptoms are starting. What is the meaning of the potato chip? Look, man. What the fuck, bro? This is so bullshit. This genuine bullshit. I popped the fuck off. Let's watch it. This is the closest we can get. I've set things up so that criminals will continue to die over the next 3 weeks. El is aware by now that Kira can control the times of the death of his victims. Therefore, to avoid suspicion, El needs to see that criminals whose names are being broadcast continue to die while I have no access to that information. Oh, the symptoms are starting! I'm gonna show you, El. Information and my preparation, I can continue to create criminals whose names are broadcast on the news while masquerading as a typical high school student studying for his entrance exams. Just watch me out. I'll solve equations with my right hand and write names with my left. I'll take a potato chip and eat it. Is no meaning to the potato chip. I figured it out, by the way. It's because I'm soft. Like, look at all my waveforms. The ones where I speak are way smaller than... Not way smaller. It doesn't match up. It is actually just a potato chip. He's doing like a cover. I need to be louder because the music's so loud. I figured it out, bro. Okay. This is the one. Okay, this is the last one. This is the last one. I actually gotta go. I gotta get my workout in. Okay. Okay, so I'll go like closer to the mic. Hold on. Can I multiply? Yeah, multiply that shit. Each increase is minor, it says. Okay, yeah, because it's decimal system. Like this. Okay. Back. Okay.
A fake. A fake.
A fake? A fake? A fake? Anime voice. A fake?
A transformation technique? No. It's really him.
A transformation technique? No. It's really him.
I can't sense any cursed energy. I can't get my body to move either.
I can't sense any cursed energy. I can't get my body to move either.
The information provided by my six eyes is telling me you're Suguru Kato.
The information provided to me The information provided by my six eyes is telling me you're Suguru Gato. The information provided by my six eyes is telling me you're Suguru Gato.
But both my heart and my soul know otherwise! Now answer me already! Who the hell are you? But both my heart and my soul know otherwise! Both my heart and my soul know otherwise! Now answer me already! Who the hell are you? But both my heart and my soul know otherwise! Now answer me already! Who the hell are you? Good night or not. Good night or not. It's time for you to wake up already.
It's time for you to wake up already.
It's
It's time for you to wake up already.
How long are you going to let it keep using you, Suguru?
How long are you going to
let it keep using you, Suguru?
What? That's not what it's. What?
Come on!
I didn't say shit!
Guys, are we gonna do this or what?
Go back! Oh
The
my
view
god.
sucks and I'm just kind of bored.
You need more power? You right, bro.
Come on! Guys, are we gonna do this or what? The view sucks and I'm just kind of bored. Come on!
You guys, are we gonna do this or what? The view sucks and I'm just kind of bored.
Looks like physical time doesn't pass inside here. Man, did I screw up or what? This place is all kinds of bad. Well, it'll all work out somehow.
Looks like physical time doesn't pass inside here. Man, did I screw up or what? This place is all kinds of bad.
It'll all
Well,
work
work out somehow. Dude, they are saying different shit from the lyrics, bro. Whatever. I was supposed to have auto-tune IRL. That's what I'm saying, bro.
I have faith in everyone.
I have faith. I have faith in everyone.
I
I have faith in everyone.
Hey. Satoru. Hey.
Hey. Oh,
Hey.
hey.
Satoru.
Satoru.
Long time no see.
Long time no see.
You shouldn't lose yourself in thought. You
You
shouldn't,
shouldn't lose yourself in thought. You shouldn't lose yourself in thought. You're on Flames. I should have ended stream like an hour ago, bro. What am I doing, man? What if I get a good second channel video, I guess?
Not in the midst of battle, Satoru.
Not in the midst of battle, Satoru.
How could you possibly tell?
How could you possibly tell?
You needn't worry. I'll release your seal eventually. You needn't worry. I'll release your seal eventually. 100. No, maybe 1,000 years.
100.
No,
No,
maybe
maybe
1,000
1,000 years.
You're just too strong to be let loose.
You're just too strong to be let loose.
Good night, Satoru Gojo.
You're almost done.
Let us meet again in the new world. Good
Good
night,
night, Satoru Gojo. I'm rushing.
Good
night.
night. Good
Good night,
night.
Sat.
Good
Good
night,
night, Satoru.
Satoru.
Oh my god.
Good
night.
night. Good
Good night,
night,
Satoru Go.
Good
Good
night,
night,
Satoru
Satoru
Gojo.
Gojo.
Let
Let's
us meet again in the new world. Good night. Good
Good
night,
night,
Satoru
Satoru
Gojo.
Gojo.
Let us meet again in the new world. Good
Good
night,
night,
Satoru
Satoru
Gojo.
Gojo.
Let us meet again in the new world.
Oh my god, look at that waveform. Y'all can see it. Look at that. Oh, look at that perfect overlap. That's gotta be it, no? Like, that's actual beautiful.
I wanted to enjoy this
Last
sight
line.
for a little bit longer, but you are right. I
We're
wouldn't
going
want
crazy.
anything to happen. Gate close. I
wanted
wanted
to
to enjoy
enjoy-
this.
I wanted to enjoy this sight for a long.
I wanted to enjoy this sight for a little bit longer, but
I wanted to enjoy this sight for a little bit longer, but
you
you
are
are
right.
right.
I
I wouldn't want anything to happen.
Gate closed.
No wait, I'm being too loud.
I wanted
I wanted to enjoy this sight for a little bit longer, but
you are right.
I wouldn't want anything to happen.
Gate closed.
Bang. Okay, you know what? 60, damn near 60%. Nah. You know what? I'll take it. I'll take it. They're still saying some bullshit here, but 60%, I'll take it, bro. Let's watch it. Hey. Satoru. I had to increase volume, bro. That's all I had to do. A fake? A transformation technique? Oh, it's really him. You shouldn't lose yourself in thought. Not in the midst of battle, Satoru. I can't sense any cursed energy. I can't get my body to move either. The information provided by my 6 eyes is telling me you're Suguru Gato. But both my heart and my soul know otherwise. Now answer me already. Who the hell are you? How could you possibly tell? You needn't worry. I'll release your seal eventually. 100, no, maybe 1,000 years. You're just too strong to be let loose. Good night, Satoru Gojo. Let us meet again in a new world. Good night or not. It's time for you to wake up already. How long are you going to keep? Oh, this is the bad one. Oh, come on. You guys, are we gonna do this or what? The view sucks and I'm just kinda bored. Oh, why is it so loud? I wanted to enjoy this sight for a little bit longer, but you are right. I wouldn't want anything to happen. Gate closed. Oh wait, is this the one I accidentally skipped? Oh, oops. What the fuck? I skipped that one too. Looks did like I? Physical plan doesn't pass inside here. Man, did I screw up or what? This place is all kinds of bad. Well, work out somehow. I have faith in everyone. Bro, you know what? Fuck it, bro. Nah, that was good, bro. That was good. I saved. Nah, I think the backrooms one was the best though. They gave me a low ass score. This was the best though. That was peak. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I broke the glass. Nah, that was good. Okay, I actually gotta end stream because I need to get my workout in. I gotta go. I have to go. This was fucking good, man. Maybe we might have to play it again for like a future stream. Bro, this is